Now, you're not supposed to be prideful, but you are supposed to love yourself. Okay? But basically, it says you're supposed to love your brother as yourself. So, what does that mean? So, that means you're not supposed to influence your brother or your sister in a manner that you rappers and you singers and you actors, okay, like for instance, Madea. You know, the scripture says that the character of Madea is absolutely wicked. A man should not put on what pertains to a woman under no circumstance. So that's just a word. That's just a word. That's all it is. I don't agree with that. Well, you don't agree with God. Take it out with Christ. Well, it's the New Testament. He said, think not that I came to abolish the law and the prophets. Okay? The law of God will not disappear. The law of God will stand until the heavens disappears. Okay? In other words, the law of God is not going anywhere. Okay? It's going to stand. Okay? Even in the reign, even when the return of God, the return of Christ, that law, so you think that you're going to be men are going to be walking around in dresses in the kingdom? You're going to be cut into pieces. Keep playing with Christ. See, I'm trying to tell you, because I know it sounds foolish. See, a lot of you getting real serious about these other religions, though, ain't you? But you ain't serious about woe to you. Woe to you. Okay? Woe to you all. So basically it's saying right here, you're supposed to love your brothers yourself. You're not supposed to be a false prophet like a lot of these camp leaders. And you're not supposed to be a false prophet like a lot of these congregation leaders. And you're not supposed to be a false prophet like a lot of these organization leaders. And people who step up and they bring all of this about themselves. Like there's somebody, and that all of these people are supposed to be following you. And you're some leader. Right? But yet all of you truly are denying Christ. Some of you are denying Christ absolutely all the way, and some of you are claiming Christ but denying him by your works. Now, listen very carefully. The power of music. Okay? Actually, we'll start with the power of music. So, the power of music. Now, music has an enormous psychological influence. Music can be used for good or evil. It has been demoralizing the consciousness of mankind since the Tower of Babylon. Satan's synagogue, whom own the production companies, are completely aware of this. Pop, rock, and rap artists are forced by label enforcers to record immoral messages that desensitize the youth. The purpose of these messages are to influence our young to do as thou wilt. And the black youth is the prime target. Guess who? So, you have to understand the first 7 years of a child's life are the most influential. It's when the child really brings about his or her makeup the first 7 years. A lot goes on with the brain development during the first 7 years, which is the reason why when you have a child beneath even past 7 years old, but specifically first 7 years, they need to be brought up in the Word of God. So that when they get older, it will stay well, so that when they become older, they will not depart from it. Now, this is why a lot of these rappers and these singers don't want and should not want their children to hear their music. This is why a lot of rappers and singers don't want and should not want, I'm talking about mainstream, should not want their children to hear their music. Pay attention. Backmassing. There's a process called backmassing and subliminal messaging. Enchantment is a form of spell casting, primarily involving mind-soul control. Enchanters dispatch or assign wicked spirits to objects and places for whatever purpose the spell calls for. Enchantment controls the mind, soul, and is one of the most powerful spells that can be cast on a person. David Meyer, ex-occultist. If the musician is mainstream, bet the big buck that his or her album has been backmasked. There is an executive recording room within the executive studios where the master record is enchanted. Specific devils are then attached to the master to transfer the sorcery to the copies. The mystery of lawlessness is altering the character of our children and our adults by doing this. Unknown. Backmassing is a process on which the executive recording room, the executive studio where the master is recorded, is enchanted. Specific devils are attached to the master to transfer the sorcery to the copies. And if you have a child that is beneath the ages of 7, that wickedness, that evil is going to wreak havoc on them. Many children who are weak in the faith, even when they're young, most of them can even become possessed from this. Now, there are different levels of possession because, that's the movies. No, that's true. That's a high level of possession. Okay? But there are other levels of homosexuality is a possession. Okay? I'm not saying it's up there with foaming at the mouth, eyes going in the back of your head, shaking, doing all types of shit where you're bending your body backwards and all that. But it's possession. But this music, what it does is when you walk around these neighborhoods and you see these young boys playing all that tough shit, walking with the guns on them and all of that, and they killing niggas and all of this, half of it is because of their cowards, and the other half is because they're low-level possessed. And if they're not, and not so much of the case, because possession actually is a specific level of influence. I apologize, but you're being influenced. There are jinns. Even the Quran speaks about jinns, which are basically devils. They're evil spirits that are all around us. And there's a specific spirit that will persuade a person depending upon that specific iniquity that's within their heart. Oh, that's too deep. That's too deep. Well, get off my page and stop listening to my messages then. Get out of here, because I don't want to hear none of your carnal bullshit. Paul said, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with spirits. I get that. Okay? Because I don't want to butcher it. So let me get that. Let me get that. I want to get that because I look like I'm on schedule. I might be a little ahead of schedule, so I got a little bit of time to waste. For it's Ephesians 6:12, I know. For we wrestle not. Should be able to just put that in and get it. Ephesians 6:12, and it says, and it reads, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. For we, as a people, from the four corners of the planet, the Israelites, we definitely don't wrestle against flesh and blood. But nobody does. For Satan has fooled all of you niggas. He's fooled the Chinese people. He fooled the Arabs. He fooled the full-fledged African people. He fooled the Indian people. He fooled the Japanese people. He fooled all you niggas. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the cosmic power. I don't like this is the ESV. I don't like the cosmic power thing, but anyway, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. Satan got a crew out here, dog. See, you too ashamed to talk about the reality. You're the foolish one because you can't think on that level. You think on such a low frequency. All you care about is your life. You go about in your life. Your life is trash without Christ. I don't care how much money you're making. A lot of you are going to get a rude awakening. Okay? Now, so we understand about the process of backmassing for those individuals who are in the mainstream. This is a very powerful thing. That's the reason why the elite know this. That's the reason why they want us to keep talking about killing one another. And many of you that got social media platforms, you keep playing that garbage and you keep bringing these young boys up and having these young boys talk all this garbage. And half of them, and 99% of them ain't killers. Never shot anybody. I'm not claiming myself anything. I'm just saying. It's all of this talk. Talk. And these cats that's influencing these young boys, they ain't had nothing to do with it. And even if they did, that's cornball shit anyway. And it's a cycle. It's a cycle that goes over and over and over again. Now you got these young boys picking up guns, blum, laying down people in the street and shooting little girls and boys, whether it be by accident or not. And you got little girls out here doing all this Megan Stallion and this Cardi C stuff. Running around acting like goddamn little, what's that other one? Because I got a little bit of time before I move on to this next segment because I'm ahead of schedule. So, let me go to the King James. Deuteronomy 23:17. Deuteronomy 23:17. It says, there shall not be a whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. So women shouldn't be walking around here acting like prostitutes, dressing like prostitutes. And like I said, the first 7 years is when they get a lot of these little girls and they get a lot of these little boys too. That's the reason why they always showing all of this. This little boy wants to be a girl and this little girl wants to be a boy. And now you got your boy that you all, he's going to help us, Don Biden for president. You want Don Biden in the office for president? Oh, he's going to help us. He's going to help us. And he's signing up for little boys being girls and girls being boys. is Satan's connection to music? I want y'all to pay close attention. This is Ezekiel 28:13. Ezekiel 28:13. It reads, "Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, and sardius, topaz, and the diamond, and the beryl, and the onyx, and the jasper, and the sapphire, and the emerald, the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared for thee in the day thou was created." The workmanship of thy tabrets. Tabrets is a tambourine. And thy pipes. The pipes is referring to a flute. But here's the thing. These instruments, these musical instruments were prepared for Satan the day he was created. One of Satan's authorities in heaven was music. It was music. That is Satan's connection to music. Now, that's good music. There's praising Elohim, praising Yah. But the vast majority of music out here is wicked. I'm going to end it with this. Because a lot of us don't understand how wicked we are as a black folk. Yet we always want to talk about other nations are coming into our community. It's not our community. This isn't our land. This gospel is for everybody who wants to listen once again. And I'm not saying that just I don't really give a damn if you other nations listen or not. But it's my job to teach, to be a light to the other nations. First, I speak to my people. And secondly, I'm to be a light to the Gentiles. This gospel is for whoever believes in Revelations 1:14 and 15, which will cause you to cling to the Israelites and become a child of God. Not believing in Jesus Christ. They're two different people. How wicked are we as a black people? Jeremiah 11:13 and 14. Jeremiah 11:13 and 14. This is God speaking, Yahushua HaMashiach. And he says, "For your gods have become as many as your cities. You niggas worship everything but the truth. You niggas worship everything but the truth. You niggas worship everything but the truth. You cannot have the Father without the Son. You cannot have Elohim without the Son. You cannot have God without the Son. For your gods have become as many as the cities, O Negro, O Judah, O Negro, and as many as the streets of Jerusalem are the altars you have set up to shame, altars to make offerings to Baal, altars to make offerings to Satan. Satan is the face behind every false god. Therefore," he says to Jeremiah, this is God talking, "therefore, do not pray for this people, or lift up a cry or prayer on their behalf, for I will not listen when they call to me in the time of their trouble." See, when you niggas start to realize that you did everything wrong, you're gonna call out for the true God then. You're going to call out for Elohim in your trouble, nigga. And he said, "Therefore, do not pray for this people." Do not. This is God talking. Do not pray for this people, or lift up a cry or a prayer on their behalf. Y'all better get it to right, man, and come back to Christ.